Comic Book Savant, episode 385. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This episode, I'm going to be doing another creator spotlight. I tend to do these from time to time. I try to do about one a month. Sometimes it's a little bit more, sometimes it's a little bit less. I've been a little bit more consistent in doing these episodes over the past few months because I like to give you guys a point of reference of some of who my favorite creators are, be it artists or writers or etc. in the business, and try to talk about some of their work. So hopefully, if you've never heard of them, I put them on your radar and you can go check out some of their work. But before we get into that meat of the episode, I'd like to give a shout out to my friends over at the Comics Podcast Network. You can find them over at comicspodcast.com. If you like comic book related podcasts, of course you like a few because you listen to this show and you want to find more. It's a great portal. It's a one-stop shop and one website where it's literally hundreds of different comic book related podcasts listed in one spot. You can find single host podcasts like myself. You can find round table discussions. You can find podcasts related to a particular publisher or a particular character or team. So you have a ton of variety to choose from. And I implore you to do so. If you like what I do here and you want to expand your horizons and pick up more comic book related podcasts, it's definitely the place you want to go to explore some. So if you have a moment, definitely stop by the Comics Podcast Network at comicspodcast.com and check out what they have to offer. You might find something else that you might like. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor for this in every episode, which is InStockTrades.com. When it comes to collected editions, omnibus, Marvel Masterworks, anything of the sort that's a bound edition. They have anime as well. They have some special issues, like I was able to get Action Comics 1000 through them, so they do like any bulk printing type things are kind of all encompassed in what In Stock Trades has to offer. They have some of the best selection that you can find almost anywhere online, and they have some of the best savings as well. They have discounts ranging from 35%, 42% up to 50% off. On their homepage weekly, they have a Deals of the Week section where they list a set number of books at 50% off. If you happen to be a U.S.-based customer and you place an order $50 or more, you get free shipping, which is awesome. Now, if you happen to listen to the podcast and you're outside of the U.S. and you place an order, don't fret. You still get all the great savings. You don't get that bonus of free shipping, but they do have some of the most inexpensive and competitive international shipping rates around, so you still set yourself up to save a ton of money. Now, with all that being said, let's jump into the meat of the episode, which is spotlighting my creator of choice this time is Salvador Larroca. I've been a fan of Salvador's work since I first seen his work on the page, and I have talked about in previous creator spotlights when it came to artists, and even before that when I would do top 10, like my top 10 favorite artists, you would always see Salvador Larroca always pop up on that list. Excuse me. And I've talked about different styles of artwork I've liked. The last creator spotlight I did was on Walt Simonson, which he wrote and he also drew comics. And he was the foundation of, as a young kid, because I used to fancy myself as an artist. If you ever go to the comicbooksavant.com website, if you go to the gallery, you'll see different pictures I drew over the years. I don't really draw anymore, so I'm probably horrible if I would try to, but you would see over the years certain pictures I did that I was really proud of. And my particular style was more refined, very methodical, with straight hard edges and hardened lines. I didn't have a loose hand, a sketchy hand. So based on my style, artists that I gravitated to when I was younger were Walt Simonson, Jim Lee, even Todd McFarlane. I used to go crazy over Eric Larson's artwork as well. So they were very much in that style of, they were more squared off, refined hands when you see their finished work. But then I went through a phase, well, not a phase, but my, even though it wasn't my particular style, I liked other artists like, that followed a different camp. I remember Joe Madeira, I think I pronounced his last name correctly. He was a phenomenal young artist that came in that next wave of really hot artists after the Image guys. The guys broke from Marvel and went and created Image. He was in that next kind of new wave of what Marvel started calling young guns. And he had a softer kind of, he was into anime, and you can kind of see that influence in his artwork. And then a whole nother crop. Then we had Salvador Larroca coming in, and I felt like where Joe Mad's style was a little bit, I liked it, and it was visually pleasing to me. It was a little too far, excuse me, from on the soft side and pushing towards like the anime cartoony side. And where Salvador's work kind of was a good blend between what I loved about Simonson, Lee, mixed in with what I liked in Joe Mad's. It kind of was that perfect blend in the center. And I just kind of, his style always popped. And that was always the thing about me as a comic fan liking a particular artist. I'm big on consistency. When I pick up a book done by that and I see that artist's name, excuse me, got a frog in my throat this morning, that I always like consistency in the artwork. Because, you know, certain artists, because their workload's so heavy or they're struggling to make time on their books, certain times towards the end of books or throughout a particular issue, their work could get somewhat sloppy. And you can see that, and then you see them in the next issue when they have time. It's great. One thing about some of these artists, that particularly that spotlight, that one of the reasons why they are some of my favorite artists is consistency. Consistency is everything in continuity as a reader. When you're reading an issue of a book and you're reading through a trade or whatever, where it's multiple issues, if it's done by a particular artist and writer, I feel like it's kind of like a dance. It's a symmetry between the reader and the art on the page and the words on the page that, you know, certain books can take you forever to read because they're just so dense, and it's just a broken experience. But or if you read a book over time, you know, it's just symbiotic, and you can just breeze through an issue because you know the rhythm, you know the beats, because it's about consistency with the writer and the artist and how it's all portrayed on the page. And that's one thing I can always say about Salvador's work. It's rare that I will ever see a book and I notice his art and be like, that doesn't look like him, or I can't tell his art. And I've had this, and I've even talked about this when I've reviewed individual comics, where there's a particular artist that I've liked, and then at certain times, maybe depending on who was inking them or what have you, that you could barely recognize their work, you know, based on you, but you look at the credits and you be like, oh, so-and-so drew this book, this looks nothing like their work. Sometimes it could be an inker, sometimes it just could be multiple things in production on the back end that we're unaware of. I've said that, you know, with some of these artists that I talk about here, I say this the least with them because their styles are so definitive and unique to them. You could always point out their artwork when you see it without even having to read the credits. I know when I see a Salvador Larroca book, and that's what I love the most about, you know, his style, next to the consistency, and it just always pops for me. And I could immediately, like, I could pick it out in a lineup of his artwork. Now I'm going to jump all over the place and talk about some of the books he's worked on. If you're unfamiliar with Salvador Larroca, he's been primarily, he did a few works outside of Marvel in like the mid 90s. He pretty much after the mid 90s, late 90s and just on, he's pretty much been exclusive to Marvel over the years. He's most notably known for work on X-Men books, and he did some Ultimate work in Ultimate Universe, and and he's done some Fantastic Four stuff, but primarily he's worked on a slew of different X-Men books, and that's where I got to know him the most from. So I'm just going to go over some of his credits to note. He did the X-Men Extreme series that was out through 2001 to 2003. He did issues 1 through 24 of that series. He did X-Men Volume 2, issue 69. Then he did issues 155 through 179. Also 182 through 187. That ran from 1997 to 2006. He also worked on Ultimate X-Men for a while. He did issues 88 through 93. And he also did annual number 2, and that was around from 2006 to 2008. This is not in chronological order, of course. I'm just reading off some of the different works of his that I could find. And I normally do research for these, just to guys let you know. I pull it off. If the artist or person I'm trying to spotlight does not have a personal site, I will go to Wikipedia and try to get this most information I have from there to give a background on other stuff that I might not have read personally or owned of theirs over the years, to just give you an idea of their full body of work, so you can kind of check some of this stuff out if you're interested in the person I'm spotlighting, so you can kind of check out some of their work if I pique your interest with spotlighting them. He also did Ultimate Elektra excuse me, Ultimate Elektra issues 1 through 5 from 2004 to 2005. He did an original graphic novel, X-Men No More Humans, back into 2014. He also worked on Uncanny X-Men issues 387 through 392. Then he also did 439 through 443. And then he also did 487 through 491 from 2000 to 2007. He also worked on Spider-Man House of M, issues 1 through 5 back in 2005. He did a one-shot, Secrets of House of M. He did the Sensational Spider-Man Annual, number 1, in 2007. He also worked on a Psylocke and Archangel Crimson Dawn miniseries, issues 1 through 4 in 1997. He did a New Universal miniseries, issues 1 through 6 in 2007. He did a Namor miniseries, issues 1 through 6, back in 2003. Probably some of his most notable work comes here. Invincible Iron Man, he did issues 1 through 33. Then they changed the numbering back to the original numbering, and he did issues 502 through 527. This was back from 2008 to 2012. This is the series that he gained a lot of notoriety for because it was such an established run that he did with Matt Fraction over on the Invincible Iron Man. I love this series. I think I pretty much, I collected, well, I had physically and now digitally. I think I have pretty much have him and Matt Fraction's whole run on this book, or just about. I've been collecting it, and I read about halfway through the run, I think, and I got the other issues that I still need to read. Phenomenal work. Just him and Matt Fraction killed that book, and it was just good. Larroca came on my radar working on the X-Men titles, and then later on as he got more established, then he went over to Invincible Iron Man, and and like I said, that was such an established run on a book that he had there. So I just had to collect that series because I just love his art so work, and him and Matt Fraction worked extremely well together during that run. Now back to the list of his work. We have Heroes Reborn, The Return, issues 1 through 4 back in 1997. This is something I didn't know about till I was doing this research, because I'm not a huge Ghost Rider fan, that he worked on Ghost Rider issues 51 through 69, issue 72, and issues 75 through 81 through 1994 through 1997. I was unaware of that. That's something I'm going to try to buy an issue or two online digitally to kind of check out his artwork. I didn't know he worked on Ghost Rider, so definitely has my interest piqued. That was it's funny because as I did this research, most of the stuff I was aware of, the Ultimate stuff, the House of M stuff I read. Gosh, excuse me, did I just burp? That was so unexpected. I apologize. I'm about 1,000 this morning on this. What was I saying? Oh, so some of the stuff I was unaware of, like the Psylocke Archangel thing. I never heard of till I saw the research on. I vaguely remember the new Universal thing, the Namor thing. I vaguely remember. I think I bought the first issue of it. Matter of fact, back when I was younger. Next thing on the list I have is Gambit and the Externals. He did issues 3 through 4 in 1995. That was when they did the Age of Apocalypse and all the books went away, and they did, Age of Apocalypse like mini series. I remember this. I actually remember this Gambit and the External series. I actually had the whole 4-issue series. Next we have Fear Itself, Iron Man. It was issue 7.3. They did like these epilogue. They did 3 epilogue like issues, and one was spotlighting a different person, and this one was focused on Iron Man. I remember this from the Fear Itself series. One of the recent events that they did in comics that Marvel did that I really got into. I think I had the whole series collected and all like the spin-off type and things and tie-ins. I really enjoyed it. Back in 2011, he did that. He also did Fantastic Four 2000 back in 2000. He also did, I want to say this was volume 3 of Fantastic Four. He did issues 4 through 34. If I remember, I think Chris Claremont was the writer on that. I really enjoyed that series. He did Excalibur issues 107 through 110 back in 1997. Another X-Men title. Like I said, he did extensive work in the X-Men universe over the years, as you can see on his resume. He's also currently doing Dr. Aphra, the Star Wars book. She's a spin-off character from the Darth Vader book that he worked on, and we'll talk about in a moment. He's been doing every issue since the series launched back in 2016. I don't know what issue it is now. I think it's in the 20s, if I'm not mistaken, almost 20s or 30s. But he's done all the issues for that. We also have, he's worked on Death of Wolverine, The Weapon, issue 1. He's also done Darth Vader issues 1 through 25. Not the current Darth Vader series. They had one before that he worked on with Kieran Gillian. And he did all 25 issues of that series. They do have another series going on now, but he's not working on that. But this is a really good Darth Vader series. I think you can get the whole run now. They have it collected in an omnibus that you can get the whole 25 issues in one shot. It's definitely worth picking up. It's beautiful to look at, and the writing is phenomenal. Really great series. He did Cable and the X-Force issues 1 through 14 back in 2013. And he also did the Avengers issue 25 through 28 in 2014. So he has an extensive line of work. Like I said, primarily all this stuff is Marvel. There's a few other things that were on there that were just minor stuff that he did with other companies. Let me pull it back up. I didn't put it down here on the list, but since I'm talking about him, I might as well speak on it just a little bit. Let's see. So other published work, he did some stuff for Marvel UK. He did Dark Angel issues 11 through 16 for Marvel UK back in 93 and 94. He did Death's Head. I can't talk today for the life of me, and I do apologize. Issues 12 through 15, Marvel UK, back in 1993 through 94 as well for Marvel UK. He did 3 issues of The Flash, issues 95 through 98, back in 1994-95 for DC. And he did Speed Demon, which was a Marvel DC when they did an amalgamation of their characters. He collaborated on that, the Speed Demon comic, which was back in 1996. And he also, back in 1995, did 1 issue of Stormwatch for Image Comics. So he's done some outside work. It's very limited, and Marvel UK is still kind of Marvel umbrella. And he did, like I said, like 2 things for DC and 1 image thing that I could find. And this is based, like I said, all this research is based off the Wikipedia page. So he has a plethora of work, primarily centered in for the Marvel. You can find a lot of his work everywhere. You can find those, like certain titles I know you can find is because he had, pretty long runs. Cable and X-Force is relatively recent. You can find that. I've actually done some reviews on, I know I reviewed the first trade of the Cable X-Force. I think maybe the first 2 I've actually reviewed. I've talked about and reviewed Darth Vader, Invincible Iron Man. I've talked about and reviewed his X-Men stuff. I've talked about it in here and there, but I've probably reviewed some individual issues and like some of my Cutting the Stack episodes and so forth over the years of doing the show. But he's just a phenomenal artist. If you haven't noticed his artwork, just pick up Dr. Aphra or Darth Vader or even Cable X-Force, something relatively recent. You've probably seen his artwork before. Some people don't pay attention to artists and writers as much. They like a particular character, and sometimes that's as far as it goes. But I like to see the creators, or if someone catches my eye, or I tend to like a certain book. Like if I like it very strongly, I'll look at the credits and I start following those people. And if I like their work, when they're announced to work on a new project, I will pick it up and I will try it based on, hey, I had a good experience with what they did previously, so I'm going to check out what they do now. And it helps me expand my horizons some, because maybe they might work on a character, get assigned to work on a character that I don't know that much about, or I haven't read that much in the past, but based on I've liked their work so much previously, I'll give it a try, and certain times it'll turn me on to something otherwise I wouldn't have liked or even tried. So it's just a good thing to be open to different things when it comes to comics, based on if you like it. I might be wasting my breath because maybe certain people don't pay attention to those things like that. But I tend to think if you listen to this podcast, and if you haven't previously, by me doing episodes like this, it makes you start thinking about those things in a positive light, and you take those moments to, hey, who wrote this book? Because I really like this issue. Let me see who it is, and hey, let me see what other stuff they wrote, and pick it up and try it, and might really like it. That's what these kind of episodes are all about, to give you guys new things to look at, different perspectives to look at as being a comic fan, and opening yourself up to new things to check out and to read. And I hope I'm successful in doing that, because that's my whole aim in doing these different type of episodes and giving you different types of content within the bubble of this industry that we love so much, which is comic books, comic book collecting, all these different things that I talk about on the podcast. That's all I have for you for this episode. Like I said, I'm trying to do more of these. I got away. I was more consistent, doing it over the years, and I kind of fell off doing it. But I feel like it's even more and more important, because the audience has changed to the podcast, and I'm getting younger people. I get people from different demographics that are just coming into comics. So hopefully I'm putting good things in your head for you to go out and explore and try out. I wanted to talk about some changes I've made to the website. I did some updates to the website and changed some things around. If you haven't been to comicbooksavant.com, take a moment to stop by the website. You can find any content that I do, as far as the audio podcast episodes as well as the YouTube episodes as well, are all on the site. You can watch them directly from the site when you go there. Also, I rearranged some certain things. If you go to support, in the menu bar up top, I will have links. Before I had different things broken out, you can find all under the support page. You can find different ways to support the show, doing a review on iTunes, following on social media. So links to the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even Google Plus page, all will be there. Also, when it comes to the Facebook discussion group, I have links to all the different things there for you guys to check out. Also, if you want to make donations, they used to be separate links on the menu bar. I just combined it all under the one thing under support, so you'll have links to, if you want to leave a one-time donation via PayPal, you could do that via the donate Also, I have a Patreon page. I've talked about that. If you're interested in seeing what it takes to become a Patreon, links to the Patreon page is there as well. Again, they were separate links before, but I combined everything under the support link. So when you go to that page, everything you need to know when it comes to helping the show is listed under there in one neat place. Also, I added what I'm calling bookshelf. So things that I've recommended and I talk about the show. If you want to help support the show, if you go to the website and you click on the links, I have links to different things I've talked about in previous episodes, and it'll grow out. It's relatively small now because I'm redoing that. Well, I just came up with that idea to do. If you click on the links, if you decide to click on the links and you purchase something, I get a little kickback. It goes back to helping support the show. So if you are so inclined to click on that, every little bit helps, and I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, just by spreading the word, your follows. I've been getting a great response from you guys when I give you call to actions to check out me on Instagram or Twitter or anything of that nature. I've had people to request to come on the Facebook group, and they interact there, as well as just going to the Facebook page and giving it a like. All those things help grow the show, and it means a lot. I have a lot of big plans coming up. I'm going to reveal a lot in August when the anniversary, we hit into year 13 for the anniversary of the show. I have a lot of big things I want to talk about. It's going to be a lot of giveaways coming up as well. So if you don't follow me already on social media, do so on Instagram and Twitter, as well as if you haven't already, take a moment to stop by the YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/Comic Book Savant. It's real easy. I have links to it on the website if you forget, but you can go in there and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing giveaways on all the different social media platforms. There's going to be different giveaways on everything. So you just go ahead and follow me and subscribe now before all that stuff starts kicking off in August. Like I said, I got a lot of big things to just celebrate. You guys helping me get to 13 years of allowing me to do this, what I love to do so much, and sharing it with you guys. So definitely be a lookout for all that kind of stuff. It's coming very soon. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I definitely have some new content coming down the road on YouTube as well as on the podcast. I'll be finishing up Luke Cage as we speak, season 2. So I will be dropping a review for that potentially this week for sure. Next week I'll have a full review of season 2, spoiler and non-spoiler, for season 2 of Luke Cage. So be on the lookout for that as well, coming soon. That's all I have for you guys for this episode of Comic Book Savant. You guys have a good week, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.